You can access the entire episode now on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. We're never shown how powerful our imagination can be, and that is the fuel for our creative manifestation in this world. Now, before we get to auto-suggestion and the dangers of this, I want to go back to something you were saying about the micro and macro realities that exist beyond our perception and the intelligences within. And it seems like that it can go both ways in infinite directions. The microscopic intelligences have their own microscopic intelligences that they interact with and receive information from. And then we go to the higher levels, to the entities that we then interact with, whether consciously or unconsciously, energetically at all times, that we're getting information from, whether we realize it or not, and the possibility that those entities have higher levels for them as well. Do you believe that's what we're dealing with here?
I do. I do on many levels. I do. I think once we as human beings and we delved into the world of physics and microbiology, and they found this fascinating world of living cells. The best place, to be quite honest with you, what I find out of all the cells in the body are the cells that operate in the brain, because there are cells that operate in the brain that literally carry, they carry, let's say happiness, for instance. I can't remember it right offhand because I'm just probably just because I'm speaking about it, but there are cells in the body that actually carry globules of different aspects of who we are. Let's say, for instance, if we're happy, then they carry these things inside the brain. They pick them up and walk along DNA strands. You see what I mean? Now, if a cell is only carrying blood and oxygen and this and that, and then if they bunch together, then they make tissue. Okay, I get it. But what we're talking about right now is something that's intelligent. It knows exactly how you're feeling, and it knows how to respond to that. It knows what to pick up, what not to pick up. It knows what to destroy, what not to destroy. It knows how to do those things also. And it also knows how to send you the signal before any of these things happen. Because in a fit of rage, there are moments where you have, okay, you should just calm down and walk away right now. You do have those thoughts in your mind. So where are these thoughts actually coming from? And like, just like you said, it's a microcosm built into something much, much larger. And the more we study the smaller things in our world and in our universe, the more we actually understand the larger things in our world and in our universe. There's a couple of ways that I've been really able to break this down to understand it. And just like the behavior and the functionality of those things. If you take an ant, and as the ant is walking, it's a 2D animal. It knows that world. It has that operation. As the observer or a higher being, I can smudge the ant off the earth if I want to. I can bless the ant and put a sugar cube in front of the ant. Ant has no idea where this sugar cube came from, mind you. Okay, let's just call that a blessing, right? Has no idea where this thing came from, no idea how it manifested, no idea how it got there, period, none. So we go from the ant to the dog or the cat. I like the dog better because we know the dog's exact. We go to the dog. The dog actually knows a little bit more information. The dog actually knows if we take it from one state to another state, if it has been to that state before, let's say to a relative's or friend's house, it will act in accordance. If we take it somewhere else, it'll act like, I don't know where I'm at. Dog has no idea about bills. Dog has no idea about taking care of the home. Dog has no idea about the law, or none of these other larger things, larger aspects of life, right? And from us to the dog is 7 years, okay? 7 years. We can do the same thing to the dog. We can treat the dog negatively, or we can treat the dog positively. We can encourage things, let's say, because people know, there's dog trainers, they run around with the dog, make them jump and do all these crazy things. We can encourage things, and we can train and we can teach, right? But at the same time, that dimension is still locked because that dog cannot you know, even though we taught this dog all these great, wonderful skills, let's say, for instance, the German Shepherd they sent off into space, we teach this dog all these great, wonderful skills. When that dog comes back and mates with another dog, those skills are gone. Those skills are oblivious. It's not being transferred over into the other dog.
Right.
Okay. Right. So this dog now has to be completely, fully retrained into what the other previous dog did. So that dimension is locked. It is set in its way. It can only gain so much understanding. What I like about all of these is I'm going to show a thin line of how we actually communicate from all these levels through all these dimensions all the way down. Now we come to ourselves and we say, okay, 7 years from human to the dog, it's probably at least a good 50 years from the dog to the ant, maybe even more, maybe 100. And that's just one day. You see what I mean? We can't get into that dimension. We can alter it. We can change it. We can affect it. We can also communicate with it, which I find fascinating too. So even through all of these realms, there's a string. There's something that happens that allows us communication to the dog and to the ant, to any animal. That string is sound, light, and what they call error management theory, things of that nature. But sound and light for sure, because you talk to your dog knows the name. It knows the sound. You can say certain things, you can clap at the dog, you can tell them to sit, they understand it. So we are communicating via sound. Ants are, even though ants are very, very small and things of that nature, that we think that we don't have that kind of ability to do so. If we needed to necessarily really move them around, we can use sound the same way. We can introduce a sound that will make them move out of the area. We can also introduce a sound or a light or a heat substance that will also pull them into the area. This effect is shown on bees. Bees are really, really good at that. And so leading into this understanding of higher dimension and lower dimensions, in order for us to communicate with ourselves, we have to do it mentally. We have to say, for instance, I'm going to get up and work out today. Then we have to force the body to follow that. Our cells then understand that signal, just like I said before, that the plasma within our bodies, which sits as a dormant substance until it's requested upon, all of a sudden will start acting differently. It will start churning some of that plasma out because you are now using the physical activity, following what you are doing, changing your DNA and cell structure to become bigger, better, healthier. That's how we communicate to ourselves. Still a mental thing first, because if I give up on this mental suggestion, nothing physically happens, nor will anything physical transpire in the world. We won't be happy people. We won't have the objects that we desire so much, or maybe I've had a thought in my head for 30 years of an invention. I'm just too scared to bring it out, all these things. You see what I mean? So again, it's still broken down to the science of what resides in the air. How can we manipulate that? And man has done that. Man has learned to do it. We are music junkies. We can go to a circus any given day and watch an elephant balance on a ball. And like, how did you get this elephant to do that? What level of communication are you doing here? It's more than just the negative parts of things like error management theory, autosuggestion, and things of that nature. But all of this stuff correlates into that bundle. It all resides in that bundle.
Well, let's get to some of those things you just mentioned: error management theory, autosuggestion, and what we should be watching out for with this.
All right. So to begin, mental metaphysics is the sacred alchemy of reverse engineering specific scientific principles as it relates to human consciousness, specifically the imagination. The reason why metaphysics is tied into it, and physics in general, is because the mind transforms light sound frequencies. These light sound frequencies are carried through the air. That now entails a whole larger spectrum of things. How to show you a representation of that? Let's say the first suggestion was 1943. 1943 was a Daffy Duck cartoon. And on that cartoon, they put on there "buy bonds." Now, on that cartoon, they specifically wrote on there "buy bonds." Okay, so the people visually saw that.